That is that is true, Mama. To know me is to love me. To know me is to know the eternal spirit of fire. That is absolutely true. That's the living truth. That's what it feels like to have a pure heart. Because you're experiencing pure light, which is absolute love. Because the eternal spirit of fire purifies that light as pure as it can get. Once you've experienced that, you know who your creator is. Eternal spirit of fire, which is the eternal spirit of absolute love that goes on forever, loving us. So it is true that it is to know me is to love me. Because that's what I am that I give to all of you. It is so simple, I'm on. That's why I found myself earlier this afternoon, and one of the reasons why I love being with Lay Leach, CH, so much, is we used to have fun playing with letters and numbers, and what we call labels and pins. Pin label. We're going to pin a label like pinning tail on donkey. Hey, you're it. What are you? Because that's how we love to organize things. Meticulously self-organized. All the ducks got to be in a row. And that's really library work, doing circulation library work of recorded life books. So you realize how much is being recorded by everything that's being experienced and how fast that's taking place by everything that is a cell, a living organism that is consciousness experiencing itself, connected to some other unit of consciousness, connected to some other unit of consciousness, connected to some other unit of consciousness. So when you are lit yourself on fire, you go cosmic. And that's what I call an open mic. Now you're an open receiver station. God is listening. The one is listening. So you've opened up your main pipeline, which means I'm not holding anything captive. I refuse to hold an electron captive, which is one unit of energy captive. No leashes and collars. Nope. Because then I realize I'm holding myself captive. I'm preventing myself from experiencing faster energy, a higher speed. So if you love to learn and you're on fire to learn to the eternal spirit of fire, you're going to be moving, you're going to be learning at a pretty high rate of speed. Like speeds that are unimaginable. Because the one realizes how much you love to be with the one that you're learning through. And that's why that kind of light exposes fucking everything. And that's why I don't use names and labels with star systems and people and races and that kind of stuff when you're an oversoul polarity integrator. Because that sort of disappears because you experience the purity of eternal love through your own heart. So everything that is out in that screen is everything that I am ungiven love to. So there isn't any difference. And that is the absolute genius in polarity integration. That is an eternal blessing. There is nothing greater than that. Ask any other androgynous being like, what's her name? Oh, dear, I can't even remember your name. Michelle. Ask her. She's over in the UK and I could feel her magnet from where I am on the Big Island. Okay. Whoa, that's a very powerful magnet pull. So androgynous are oversoul poles, single poles, mononuclear. That's the first line of communication. That's as pure as it gets. And so you can see why when Asher Diane talked about waves, I paid very close attention. I didn't listen to everything because I didn't need to listen to everything, but I was supposed to listen to certain things. It's held in memory in a library, and it's actually what it's like is that you already know this, but you're going to go experience it in the future in order to acknowledge it. So, in other words, I can validate her stuff, her library, what she the records that she runs off of, what she has access to, that she thus shares and communicates, as she says, in the language she's been programmed to use as a communication method. Remember, I mentioned this a long time ago. If this was some other place, I would be using a different language because whatever is the most common language that can distribute information to communicate to more units of consciousness because they've been programmed to speak or translate energy or communication in that language, right? We might use a gazillion different languages, all can be translated into whatever language that you're using now so that you can understand and translate it, the telepathic level of the EFFI field intelligence of light, that's pure. It's not like the one can't translate it because anything that is known can be translated that's been recorded. It's part of a record that's already happened. Because the level of self-organizing intelligence that can do that, that is at a remarkable speed in which that can take place because of the speed at which you run at. Right? So it's like you're able to go through massive databases at very high rates of speed because as a polarity integrator, you got to memory dump stuff that's everything that is really dead light. That's what the main job of a polarity integrator is, to pull all lost fractals of light, as if the one itself, which represents the whole, is losing a part of what it's given love to. Hey, I just lost a part of what I was once given love to. See? And so you see how many of those pieces become the alternates. And the alternates no longer experience me part of the whole, which means it's no longer experiencing what it once was as whole. Experiencing the line of communication that it had to experience what love is, which is what light is, which is what love is. Eternal spirit of fire. So the more I lose in you, the more I'm losing in me. So to restore you, I got to restore me. If it's true, then I'm an eternal spirit of fire, which I am. But it's like I described with Misha, right? When I made an agreement with her because of what she asked me to do. She was looking for a spiritual guide, but what she was really saying, because it's an act of humility. I know that because I've done that. I got that right down on my hands and knees, surrendered to the one. Said, okay, I'm done beating myself up. Even though I realized I was under an enormous amount of traumatic assault. When you scale that on a planetary, galactic, and universal level as a polarity integrator. See, that means wherever you go, you're hypersensitive, so anything that's less than what you are is noticed. You detect it because your sensors are that fine. That fine. You detect it before anybody does. Except for the one. It's, maybe that's not the exact, it's not that others don't have that level of sensitivity. It's in the context of the life book that I'm experiencing now, being born in 1951 and everything that I experienced on that time wave, right? And to bring me where I'm at now is what I'm really talking about. Because when I think of books, life books, and then libraries of what's possible to experience from an original musician and artist and dancer and all the rest of it, right? Jesus, those stories go on forever. So it becomes like counting sheep of things that have already happened that represent all those stories, right? Unless you're manifesting in your own real time, which is being present all the time, because you're experiencing what love is in your own heart and soul. So when you're experiencing that as what I call a default setting, which means that's your automatic state of balance. So anything that isn't in balance is automatically getting balanced, right? Because that's what a polarity integrator does, naturally, without even having to think about it. It is natural to be in a state, as they say, a state of peace when you're living through your heart and soul. So that's one of the reasons I love what's his name, Oral Lyons, who was. I know there was some changes between going from one clan to the other. I don't remember the specifics. He gave a presentation a couple of times and talked about its history from what original clan he was part of. I believe it's was Turtle Clan. I think was his original clan, and then went to Wolf Clan. Got, I guess, adopted by the Wolf Clan. But he made mention he was a Bioneer, so he's over on the west coast side of North America. Excuse me, east coast side, much up in what is it, up where the northern northeastern corner of Maine and Vermont and all that, New York, Niagara Falls. I guess that's up where Seneca, Mohawk. I've done a lot of memory dumping, so I don't hold in memory what I used to hold in memory anymore. It's not relevant anymore. You know, that's like when I was a little kid, 4 years of age. Okay, what am I going to load? What do I want to get rid of? Being able to use the elemental command function because you realize you're running your own unit. Right, so that's a lot of permissions. Because of the nature of the work that's got to get done. You know, this is like you know what a salvage mission is, right? Or you know, there's a lot of different words you can use. You know, I call it humble service. You know, to be able to, I'll just give you an example. There are jobs that I will do without you having to pay me. Okay, I'll do them for free. I'll give my energy away. And one of those jobs was working in fire protection and emergency medical services. They didn't pay when I went to work for these folks, which was Orange County Fire Department, California Department of Forestry in Orange County, California. When I got out of high school, there's no coincidence. It was 1970. In September, by the way, when I first went to work for that outfit in Trabuco Canyon, which was sort of out in the country, you know, in the canyons near a forest, but not with big trees, mostly just a little bit of pine and some sage and it's chaparral country, as we call it, right? Manzanita, sagebrush, that kind of stuff, and a lot of grass. So it burns pretty quick, right? It'll really take off. It doesn't take much to ignite it, and once it's up and it gets a wind on it, see ya. Really, I mean, it doesn't take much to have a fire get away from you. Another distraction. So where was I? Yeah, that was a job that allowed me to be able to really experience what it was like to give away free energy. Because they were only paying folks at the time $526, something like that a month. That's gross. And then they charge you for meals, which was 60 cents a meal, and that's if you signed up for 3 meals a day because there was a cook there, right? But when it was all said and done, because they only paid you once a month, the take-home pay was $286. That's it. And that's working 24-hour shifts for 5 days a week. That's 120 hours a week. They're paying you less than 50 cents an hour to risk your ass to go out there to save lives and property. That's the truth of it. But what they didn't know is, listen, I'll come here to work for free because I did. Even though I was working there 5 consecutive days a week, 24 hours a day at this fire station, always on call to respond to your emergency. I went in there on my days off. I'll do this on a full-time basis. You don't have to pay me. I'll just show up for work. Whoa, really? You'll do that? You'll do this for free? We would love to have an extra firefighter on our fire engine, and you're not on the payroll. Yeah, and so, sure. That's because it was that much fun, and that's the nature of balance, keeping things in balance. Broken circuits, broken arrows. Somebody's stressing out, right? And that's trauma, right? Trauma in a gyrodome. Trauma, there's a collision. Somebody made a collision. Shit hit the fan, right? Somebody's in trouble, right? So in other words, there they were going along, minding their own business. Everything is hunky-dory. They're experiencing being in a state of love and joy. They're in harmony. They're doing the dance. And next thing you know, all of a sudden something happens. Somebody's been hurt really bad. Oh no. You see what happens? It not only becomes a major distraction, but it now traumatizes the other person. Somebody else's trauma is now being experienced by somebody else who's now experiencing that trauma. Now they experience a loss of voltage in them. That's a virus. Trauma is a virus. That's what it is. As a result of harm being done to a unit of consciousness by another unit of consciousness that is energy. That's what it is. So I know what the truth is. So I felt like I was a Lone Ranger. Remember the little kid packing pistols on his side with the little black thing on a masquerader with a hat, cowboy hat, the Lone Ranger with Tano, the native? I think he was Apache or Chiricahua, wasn't he? So we have cowboys and Indians being played, right? So now you're playing a binary war game. A war game video. You know, red pill, blue pill, north and the south, east and the west, Democrats, Republicans, right? Playing ping pong, binary ping pong. Over what? Control. Over what they don't love, which is a black mirror. I don't see any light in that mirror. There's no love in that mirror. I have no love for what I see in that mirror. That's what it is. So that's why we came in here. Shh. That's right. Pretend a free fall. So you know that the first line troopers showed up. Because that's like a bad deal. That requires the first fire engine to roll, sort of deal. That means the one is rolling. The first law is rolling. Yeah, mama. So the law shows up. So that's what I honor. I honor the law. I'm a law keeper, which is a wisdom keeper, which is a flame keeper. Keeper of the flames. I'm one of those types. I'm one of those arcs. Arc, spark. You were right, Arshaya. You knew about that arc that went off. Very, very good, girl. You got that. It's really a blessing to be able to experience that young lady. She's very special. Thank you for your service, young lady. We love you all.